crew. We're back today with another video. Keep pounding. Today's topic is round 6 reaction to the draft. If you like the video, if you like the channel, hit that like button, hit that sub button, select all on the bell, and leave a comment down below if you feel inclined to do so. Let's get into it. Round 6. Bengals select Hakeem Adeniji, guard from Kansas. Interesting pick. They do need offensive line help, so I like this pick. Any positional picks, I'm going to be for them. So moving on to the Denver Broncos. Netane Muti, guard from Fresno State. Fresno State's had some pretty decent lines so far over the past few years, from what I've noticed. So I like that move. Mike Onwenu, guard from Michigan, New England Patriots. They're looking for offensive line help for the quarterback that they bring in next, now that Tom Brady's not there. Good move. Cameron Brown, linebacker from Penn State. That's one of those big, beefy linebackers that Dave Gettleman likes. And he likes those people from Penn State. He likes them from Auburn. He likes them from all over. So, you gotta like this pick if you're a Giants fan, for sure. So then, pick 184 is our Panthers select Bravvion Roy, the defensive tackle from Baylor. I like this pick because of what I've been hearing about him. And again, I saw that interview with all the rookies that got drafted, and I really like him in particular. There's a lot of different personalities and a lot of happy personalities there, and they just all seem like real people. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's awesome. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about there, but Bravvion Roy is going to fill that run gap position that we have been desperately needing behind an injured KK Short. So, excellent move. I like it. Blake Ferguson, long snapper from LSU for the Dolphins. I don't feel like that really fit their needs, but okay. Moving on. Chargers, Aloy Gilman, safety from Notre Dame. Another good one off the board that's from that safety crew. He did have some issues, but it's every player out there's got some weaknesses, but Notre Dame players have typically been okay defensively, so I like it. Donovan, the wide receiver from Michigan, goes to the Browns. That's another one of those Michigan wide receivers that's been really dominant this past year. I like this move. You want more weapons to throw to. You want more wide receivers to throw to in training camp, test them out, see what you can do. I like it. Tyler Bass, kicker from Georgia Southern, goes to the Bills. Excellent choice on that one. The Georgia Southern kickers have been really solid thus far that I've seen. And again, that Georgia Southern team, as I mentioned in the previous video, has been dominating the SoCon. Now that Appalachian State has left and gone to Division One, and started dominating up there. So Georgia Southern has now full control of the SoCon most years. So I like any players that come out of Georgia Southern at this point. I say buy high with Georgia Southern. Because these guys are going to be underrated players. They're going to be a steal. Jaguars, Jake Lutton, quarterback from Oregon State. He's an underrated quarterback in my opinion. I was watching a little bit of him last year. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's still got a long way to go, but under the right coaching staff, I think he could really, really learn. And based on my memory of the Jaguars, and I think it was Blake Bortles, but Ken Dorsey, the quarterback coach, that ended up in our staff actually working with Cam Newton, made, I think Bortles, I think it was, a Pro Bowler that year. And he was not good at all before that point. So, I mean, if the Jaguars have found a quarterback coach that can really teach these guys, I'm all for this. You know, you could really get some experience for Jake here, and he could do something in a couple of years with the right experience and the right coach. Charlie Warner, tied in from Georgia, San Francisco 49ers. Georgia has had some pretty good offensive players this past year. Charlie's one of them, in my opinion. It wasn't that noticeable. They didn't go to him as much as I thought they would, but you know, because most of the wide receivers were open on most plays. But when they did need to check it down, or they had a design play for him, he was a very good blocker. He got it done out there. I wouldn't say he's one of the better ones out there, but he got it done. You know. But you always want to pick Georgia offensive players for sure. They've been consistently good. Georgia's been great in recruiting, and they just know exactly what they want, and they know exactly how to get the best out of their players. So, the Jets, Braden Mann, punter from Texas A&M, no comment. Green Bay Packers picked John Runyon, guard from Michigan. Yet another great pick for that offensive line. Whether it be starter or depth, you know, Michigan linemen are always solid under Harbaugh. The Colts, Rod Windsor, defensive tackle, Penn State. Colts need a run stopper. They got absolutely run over last year and the year before as well. So, yes, they defensive tackle could not wait. That was one of those positions they needed. And a Penn State guy is a pretty good fit. Rob didn't really stand out to me, but I'm familiar with the name. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Khalil Davis, defensive tackle from Nebraska. Nebraska, from what I know, they've had some decent defenses lately, but I wouldn't call that a spectacular pick. But we'll see how that goes. New England Patriots, Justin Herron, guard from Wake Forest. Wake Forest offensive linemen have been solid this year, actually. Surprisingly solid. So I would invest in that area for sure. Uh, Sean Bradley, linebacker from Temple, goes to the Eagles. That's the second Temple guy in the fifth and sixth round. So keep an eye on that. John Pizzini, defensive tackle from Utah, goes to the Lions. Antoine Brooks Jr., safety from Maryland, goes to the Steelers. We'll see how that works out. I don't feel real confident about that pick for the Steelers there. The Rams, Jordan Fuller, safety, Ohio State. The Rams made out better than the Steelers did on this one. For the main purpose of saying that Ohio State defensive players have been really, really consistently solid over the past 5 years. And if you haven't noticed it, look them up. They did have a 1 or 2 year lapse, but they did get it done over the past 5 to 7 years. So good pickup, Rams. Philadelphia Eagles, Quez Watkins, wide receiver, Southern Mississippi. Here's what I noticed. Southern Miss, whenever they go up against Alabama, it is an absolute slugfest. Every time they do. It is an absolute... I was thinking of Ole Miss. My bad. So, I was thinking of Ole Miss. But Ole Miss and Bama, slugfest every year. Absolute slugfest. That is the game to watch in the Southern Conference. If you're going to watch one. Besides LSU and Bama or, South Carolina, Georgia. Ole Miss and Bama is the quiet one that no one expects to turn into a slugfest. But every year, except for last year, it has. I don't know what it is about Ole Miss teams, and Mississippi teams, but they've just had this great recruiting class over the years, and it's just turned into a slugfest that's just been fantastic to watch. It's one of my favorite games for every year, and I do a lot of my note taking on players from both teams from that game, typically, whenever I get a chance to. So there's James Porsche, wide receiver from Southern Methodist, goes to the Ravens. Evan Weaver, linebacker from California, goes to the Cardinals. California's been up and down. That's the thing I will say for California. They've been up and down. They've never been consistently up. They've never been consistently down. They move around like a roller coaster. And it's every once in a while they'll come up with a good player, but you gotta buy high, sell low with them. You gotta know exactly when to get their players and when not to. That's the key with California. Vikings, Blake Brando, guard from Oregon State. Again, Oregon State's had a good line, pretty solid. Past couple years, I would buy high on that lineman for sure. New England Patriots, Kash Mula, linebacker from Wyoming. Now, Wyoming has been one of those teams that has just been under the radar, but they've gotten some surprising wins that you don't expect them to get. Um, but every now and then they'll come up with a defensive player that'll surprise you. Minnesota Vikings, Josh Metellus, safety from Michigan. Again, Michigan safeties, always a good choice. Always. I haven't seen one yet that hasn't been. Tyler Davis, tight end from Georgia Tech, goes to the Jaguars. Being that Paul Davis is not there in Georgia Tech anymore, they used to run the triple option. Now they don't. So I'm not used to the system that Georgia Tech runs yet. I'm learning it. I'm trying to see what they're trying to do. And until I figure out what they're doing, I can't fully evaluate any players that come from their offense yet. I think that's fair to say. Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver from Oregon State. Now, I've heard that name a lot. He went to the Bills, and that's a good choice. They need that wide receiver help. Jake Hansen, center from Oregon. Green Bay Packers, again, choosing a great school to get a lineman from. I like this. Simon Specknick, guard. Indiana. Packers get another pick in that 6th round. Yet another great school for linemen. Notice that Green Bay is just cashing in on these offensive linemen. They know where to get them from, and they know exactly what players they want. And I have to respect that, for the Packers. They know what they're doing. These guys may last about 5 years, but the first 2 or 3, these guys are pretty solid. They learn the system pretty quickly, and they understand what they need to do. And they get it done. So, kudos to Green Bay for their drafting on linemen. I've been very impressed over the years. Prince Tega, the tackle from Auburn, goes to the Eagles. Yet another Auburn guy goes off the board to the Eagles. That's, predictable. Predictable choice there. They probably needed a tackle badly for depth reasons. So good choice. Colts, Isaiah Rodgers, defensive back, Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts you don't see on the board very often in the drafts. Main reason, they're a small school. You don't see many talented players come off the board from there, but every once in a blue moon you will. And I'm not surprised it's a DB, actually. So, surprising pick by the Colts. I like it. Desmond Patton, wide receiver from Washington State, also goes to the Colts. They had 3 picks in a row, by the way. The last 2 were compensatory picks. Washington State, I haven't watched that much of Washington State, but I am familiar with Desmond Patton. So they got a little bit of speed there. Not quite enough, though, to really do anything. So he's more of a depth man, I think. Jordan Glasgow, linebacker from Michigan. I am very familiar with Glasgow. That's a steal from that round right there. That linebacker is very, very quick. And he does come with coverage issues. He does come with awareness issues, but he's smart. He picks up on the game, though. And where these quarterbacks are throwing the ball, he picks up on where the play might end up. And although he doesn't necessarily get there, he does make the tackles. So, necessary to get where he was. So that's just my assessment of it. Other people have way different assessments, but that's my assessment of it. Freddie Swain, wide receiver from Florida. Florida's been known for their wide receivers for a few years now. I've been happy with Florida wide receivers thus far going in the draft. But he goes to the Seahawks in a compensatory pick. So that wraps it up. And speaking of the Seahawks, there is a rumor that Russell Wilson is in trade talks with the Browns. That's a rumor right now, but we don't know anything more than that right now. But that's a big, big move right there if the Browns do get him in a trade. So we'll be watching that one very, very closely. And I think that's going to have a major impact on our schedule based on what I've seen so far. Schedule video coming soon. But that will wrap up this round 6 video recap. If you liked it, hit the like button and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the picks and my reactions to them. I could be completely way off base, mind you, but this is just based on my reactions, my opinions, my ideas of what I think from what I saw. Again, I could be completely wrong. If I am, let me know. Feel free to prove me wrong with stats in the comments. I will look forward to reading them, and I will respond. Thank you so much, and keep pounding. Stay safe, stay healthy.